Hello, welcome to the sixth video in a mini-series on how to hand sew. In this video we'll be looking at the second of the three seams that we're going to be looking at making. Okay, so for most seams you want to put the two good sides of the fabric facing in towards each other when you make the seam. However, for this seam we don't want to do that, we want the two good sides facing out. This seam does work both ways, so you can do the good sides facing in or the good sides facing out and it will still look presentable, just that the normal way that the seam is done is with the one particular side always facing out, but it doesn't actually matter. So I've got my two good sides facing out from one another, and now I'm going to fold my seam allowance like I did in the last video. So you can also mark your seam allowance with chalk or something if you want, but I just fold it. So you want to I just fold it and then hand press it against a hard surface with my thumb, and then it gives me a fold where I'm going to sew my seam. So now I'm going to sew a back stitch down this folded line, and then I'll show you how we do the rest of the seam after that. Oh, I should mention as well that because this will be the good side of our fabric, we want it to be presentable, okay? So what I'm going to do to start this seam is go inside the two pieces of fabric and start my sewing off there so that this unsightly knot is hidden inside the seam. Okay, so I've now backstitched the seam where it needs to be on the seam allowance. So now what I'm going to do is, of these two pieces of fabric, I need to decide which side I want my seam to lie. So I'm going to put it on this side. So the side which I want the seam to go to, I take the edge and I'm going to cut that down to half the size or less that it was. Okay, so once I've cut that, what I'm then going to do is take the uncut piece and I'm going to fold it over so that it just about gets to the stitch that we've just sewn. Okay, so we want to just cover it. And then what we're going to do, as we've got that, is you're going to hold that in place and then bring the actual pieces of the fabric up, fold that onto the piece and then hold it there, and then this is what our seam will look like. So what I'm going to do right now is backstitch right along the edge of this bit here. And doing two back stitches to secure the piece of fabric will give it more strength than the regular seam. Okay, so that you can visualize what this looks like a bit better, this is where I've pinned it in, and you can see where the bit that I cut is inside there, and then it was folded over and tucked inside. And once I fold that over and pin it, I can then sew, and then sewing that seam will make it look like what you see on jeans sometimes. You also see it in men's tailored shirts a lot of the time, and it's a strong seam that will properly hold two pieces of fabric together. So it's hard to visualize. Inside here you've got several layers that are folded over. Okay, so continue to backstitch along there, and then we'll have our completed seam. Okay, so this is what the finished seam looks like, and on the reverse side it looks like this. Now obviously this is the non-neat side of the backstitch, so if you wanted to make this the outside of the garment, then you would do that by, when you begin, you would put the good sides of the fabric together, rather than what we did is put the good side of the fabric on the outside. So this is what it looks like from one side, this is the other. Of course, it looks a lot worse because of the contrasting thread. It's normally a very neat stitch, and it's quite nice, and it looks strong, and it is stronger than the regular seam. Okay, so that's 2 out of 3 seams done. So in the final video we'll be looking at the strongest seam, a third seam of 3.